established rich coming right back at you. Today is about the part of the story that never makes it into the music video. Lil Durk has been locked up since 2024. Not a probation violation, not on some technicality. We're talking about serious federal heat, the type of case that stops time. And now we find out he's been in solitary confinement for 4 months. Let me slow that down because this is where people lose the plot. Solitary is not a timeout. It's not protective custody with Wi-Fi. It's a small cell, 1 bed, 1 sink, 1 toilet, 23 hours a day. No commissary, 1 phone call a month, and no in-person visits. That's not a punishment. That's a psychological pressure cooker. And before anybody jumps to defend or attack, let me be clear. This is not about whether or not you like Lil Durk. This is not about whether or not you believe the case. It ain't about picking sides. This is about reality. This is what the lifestyle don't post. This is what your money can't fix. This is what your connections cannot touch. When you in that cell, you ain't a brand. You not a headliner. You not a movement. You a man alone with his thoughts. And that's where everything changes. People love to say, free so-and-so until the case get real. People love to say, that's my brother until subpoenas show up. And let's be honest. People never imagine it will be them. Everybody think they different. My circle's solid. My people ain't built like that. We moving smart. Till somebody gets scared, till somebody got a family, until somebody catch their own case. That's when the room gets quiet. And then you start seeing things different. You start realizing how many relationships were built on access. You start realizing how many loyalties were conditional. You start realizing that money only matters when it can move. In that cell, money sits still. This is why his Instagram posts hit different. Crazy how you gotta wait until it's dark to see who really with you. That ain't a lyric, that ain't a caption. That's realization. And here's where my issue comes in. Not with Durk, but with the system around him. For years, the industry paid for an image. They funded it. They marketed it. They made it look authentic. They sold danger as branding, and they sold street energy as entertainment. And nobody ever said, hey, if this comes back on you, we're responsible too. When the lights go off, the label is gone, the promo budget is gone, the cultural moment is gone. What's left is court transcripts and headlines. And the same things that made you pop are now being read by people who don't understand context. They don't know what was image, they don't know what was music, they don't know what was performance. All they see is a narrative that looks consistent, and that is dangerous. This is why I tell young artists, stop confusing image with armor, because image don't protect you, it boxes you in. And when something real happens, you don't get the benefit of the doubt. You already judged. And that's before we even talk about solitary.
Lil Durk's been forced to sit in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day for the last 130 days, but why? A jail guard caught Lil Durk having an Apple Watch in his jail cell, so they're punishing him. As the news wrote, on Tuesday, January 6th, the Chicago rapper's legal team filed a request for a status hearing regarding Lil Durk being detained in a special housing unit without due process since August 29th, 2025. Lil Durk is confined to a very small jail cell, just large enough for 1 single bed, a toilet, and a sink, for 23 hours a day. The filing reads, he is permitted to 1 phone call a month, he doesn't have access to commissary, and he has no in-person social visits. He was originally placed in SHU for a punishment for being in possession of an Apple Watch. However, Durk's attorneys claim that the alleged infraction has still not been reviewed by the unit discipline committee to determine proper disciplinary action, which would normally happen within 5 working days, yet it has been 130 days. Even inmates from Lil Durk's cell block has called those close to Durk's case about it, and it's very concerning.
They got Lil Durk in a hole for basically some BS, and right now we're going to show the paperwork. They saying that he was caught with a cell phone, and basically that's not true. They trying to keep him in a hole, do a lot of things that they shouldn't be doing or whatever, but they trying to make a point because they saying that me and him is privileged and we got so many things going on, and it's a lot of BS.
The American Public Health Association has studies on what solitary confinement does to the mind. Depression, anxiety, loss of appetite, paranoia. This is not a weakness. This is neurology. The human brain is not built for that type of isolation. And yet we act shocked when people come out different or don't come out at all. So when I say I hope people are paying attention, I mean that. Not to judge Durk, not to defend Durk, but to learn. Because this story don't end when the song stops. And right now, This is a part of the story nobody can edit. Hip-hop has created a strange lane over the last decade. A lane where pain has become content, where trouble has become a brand, where consequences have become a marketing tool. And I want to be very clear. This ain't about one artist. It's a systemic issue. We got a whole subgenre of records that sound like confessions, but they packaged up like entertainment. Songs about being watched, songs about being targeted, songs about the system coming for you, but almost never a song about stepping back. Never a song about changing course. It's always framed like this. Why they always on me? Why I can't catch no break? Why they doing me like this? And when you young, that feels relatable. When you older, it starts sounding different. Because at some point, you have to ask yourself a hard question. Am I unlucky or am I living a life that attracts attention? That question is not popular. It don't trend. It don't get reaction videos. But it's the question that separates survival from tragedy. This is where the industry plays dirty. They will cheer you on while you walk toward the edge. They will clap for you while you make it look real. They will fund your image as long as it sells. But when them cases come, they will say nothing. No press release saying, hey, we helped shape this image. No statement saying this was part of marketing. They let you hold it alone. And the court don't care about your intent. The court don't care about your backstory. The court don't want to hear that you was just playing a role. All they care about is consistency. When your music, your interviews, and your image all align with the accusations, you starting to race behind. This is why I say, money can't save you at this stage. Money helped before. Money moves things when there's room to move. Solitary has no room. In that cell, there's no crowd response, no security detail, and no team huddle. Just time. And time is loud when you can't distract yourself. This is where people realize the difference from people who benefited from you and people who would sacrifice for you. This is where you see who preparing to talk. Because let's stop pretending. Fear makes people practical. People with families think different. People with their own exposure think different. And the streets don't exist in court. Loyalty don't show up in transcripts, and respect don't matter to the judge. Only evidence, only testimony, only what can be proven. This is why I hope y'all younger artists really hear this part, because everybody think they exempt. Everybody think their story gonna end differently until it doesn't. And here's another part people don't want to talk about. When you build a career around survival energy, you attract people who are also surviving. Not building, not planning, surviving. And survival makes people self-preserving. When pressure hits, survival turns into distance. Not because people are evil, but because fear is louder than memory. This is why image is a trap if you don't control it. You can't keep selling a story and expect reality not to check it. Hip-hop is powerful. It shapes culture, it shapes language, it shapes identity. But it also shapes expectation. And when you live long enough in a character, the world stops seeing the real person. That's the part that breaks my heart about this. Not just for Durk, for the next 10 guys watching him and thinking it ain't gonna happen to them. Because if you think this is just about one case, you're missing the point. When people see cases like this, they tend to pick sides fast. It's either free him, the system hate us, or it's he did it to himself. Real life is never that clean. What I see is a man paying the price for a story that was profitable until it became too real. And that should terrify anybody who thinks image is just entertainment. Because image becomes expectation. Expectation becomes assumption. Assumptions become evidence in the court of public opinion. By the time the judge ever sees you, half the world has already decided who you are. This is why I keep saying, money don't mean power when your freedom is on the line. You can buy jewelry, you can buy cars, you can buy access. You cannot buy back time. And you definitely cannot buy back peace once it's gone. Solitary isn't just a punishment, it's a mirror. It strips away the noise. It takes the crowd out of the room. It leaves you with your choices. And I hope anybody watching this understands this part clear as day. The industry will never stand next to you when the lights go out. They will promote the image, they will sell the narrative, and they will cash the checks. But once the consequences show up, you on your own. This ain't me preaching. This is me speaking from experience, from watching this movie play out over and over with different names. If you still free, that's a blessing. If you still able to change course, that's power. Because the real flex ain't how tough you sound on record. The real flex is being able to walk away before it costs you everything. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe. Established Rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.